In the beginning, our deity crafted the universe, a realm of splendor and serenity. When our deity felt solitude, he filled his world with beings, all fashioned in his likeness so that none would feel inferior in this expanse of boundless verdant plains, tranquil rivers, and innumerable fruit-bearing trees. Every creature coexisted in relative peace and harmony, for while only we, the analysts, were endowed with the gift of sentience, all others were granted a fundamental comprehension of how a living entity should act and behave under the vigilant, nurturing gaze of a benevolent and compassionate deity. There was no necessity for conflict or fear, for no one lacked anything. Even if one could not muster the strength to rise and pluck some fruit, one could simply wait, rest, and expect to awaken healthy and revitalized. In his boundless wisdom and thoughtfulness, our deity had enriched the air we breathed with ample nutrients and designed our primary star in such a manner that life would perpetually be sustained. Naturally, over time, we became weary. We began to tinker and ponder, gazing at the heavens and speculating what else lay beyond. We invented the wheel, scriptures, computers, and much more until ultimately, we found ourselves hovering above our modest origins, our cradle world. After countless eons of technological progression, we had finally achieved it. We had departed from our deity's embrace, that magnificent green and blue sphere he had fashioned for us. We had matured as a species, ready to embark on a quest and seek others who wished to contemplate and explore the cosmos alongside us. We ventured out to uncover distant systems, alighting on peculiar yet familiar worlds, undoubtedly created by gods who were just as benevolent as ours. Just when we began to believe we were alone, we discovered them, aliens, beings so similar yet so vastly different. Over time, wherever we searched, we found more and more, all born on paradise worlds specifically tailored to their inhabitants' requirements, evidently created by responsible gods akin to our own. As our gods had intended, we commenced cooperation, constructing enormous structures, exploring, learning collectively, and continuing to evolve as if we were all one grand family, the Great Galactic Alliance. For a period, everything was perfect. Reality, beyond the occasional black hole or unsightly gas giant, appeared to be a warm and congenial place where all sentient beings could unite and relish life. That is, of course, until we stumbled upon it. From ancient times, our most revered philosophers, scientists, and clergy had hypothesized about a world diametrically opposed to all others, one where beings indulged in every possible taboo, where life consumed itself, doing whatever it took to ensure its own survival. A world of chaos, with the iciest colds and the most scorching heats, unstable climates, shifting landscapes, and catastrophic disasters where life could alter in an instant, where nothing was guaranteed, and only the strong survived, compelled to adapt according to the laws of this infernal domain. We couldn't even begin to imagine what kinds of nightmarish monstrosities would inhabit such a place, undoubtedly warped and twisted beyond mortal comprehension, their very existence inciting terror and madness in the innocent and weak-willed. Most of us assumed, or perhaps hoped, that such a world could not possibly exist, that it was merely a frightening yet intriguing what-if scenario. We thought there couldn't possibly be a divine being harboring such malevolence, apathy, and sadism. We were mistaken. When the GA Gracefulness arrived at what we now term the Halo system, they anticipated finding a couple of gas giants and a habitable world created by a good-aligned but otherwise lazy deity. Regrettably for them, nothing could have been further from the truth. We are uncertain of what they witnessed, but within 12 hours of arrival, they had activated every emergency system multiple times and sped away as quickly as their hyperdrive allowed. Upon rescue, the crew underwent full medical examinations and psychological evaluations. Most were in a state of panic at best and near catatonic at worst. Whatever they encountered had shattered their minds and posed a threat to the entire galactic community if not dealt with swiftly. Thus, without delay, an exploration fleet was assigned to investigate the strange cosmic anomaly. Deep down, we all knew what was about to be revealed to the wider galaxy, we just hoped we were wrong. Approximately 8 months later, the exploration fleet returned, and our gravest fears were confirmed. There it was, displayed on the screen, a blue sphere of death and chaos, GA-14, a world of death inhabited by horrifying monstrosities and twisted abominations. It resembled a malignant tumor on the canvas of the universe. If the Alliance's bravest and brightest were to be believed, then this planet was infested with every conceivable nightmare ever conceived by sentient minds, from enormous flesh-eating reptiles to microscopic viruses. Even some of the flora had a penchant for death and destruction. There was no denying it, we had finally discovered it, the world created by the goddess of unending struggle and eternal misery. While all other divine beings aligned with goodness and light, she dismissed these as weaknesses and forged a world of strife and devastation. Sadly, as we suspected, we couldn't keep this under wraps for long. When the news finally reached the public, most rational beings were, of course, horrified and shocked. But, as often happens, the youth adopted a less conventional stance. Many claimed to be bored with the current state of affairs and were intrigued by this bizarre world of horrors and its inhabitants, a sentiment validated by the copious amounts of fringe literature and homemade films this curiosity spawned. For a while, we tried to ignore its existence, hoping it would vanish from public consciousness. However, the longer we ignored it, the more its existence gnawed at us, mocking and goading us into destroying it. So, ultimately, we complied. Initially, we attempted to freeze the planet by obscuring its sun, assuming a prolonged ice age coupled with lowering sea levels would eradicate most, if not all, creatures. However, life somehow persisted. By the time we returned for a second attempt, the world had already been repopulated with new horrors, even more terrifying and dreadful than the previous ones. Since freezing didn't work, we opted for the opposite approach, amplifying the sun's rays to scorch GA-14's surface, drying up large water bodies and prematurely activating every volcano we could locate. At first, we thought we had succeeded, that the universe was finally safe. But upon closer inspection, it appeared that a few tenacious creatures had survived. No, they hadn't just survived, they thrived? It was only during our third attempt that we realized we were making a colossal mistake. By this point, we had reached our limit. We could almost hear this revolting world and its wicked goddess mocking us. With few alternatives left, we decided to employ certain forbidden sciences we had sworn never to unleash upon the universe. I won't delve into the finer details, but in essence, we tampered with their atmosphere, literally extracting the breath from their lungs, poisoning every body of water we could locate, and for good measure, using kinetic gravity-based nukes to destabilize their world's core and tectonic plates. We meticulously observed while methodically disassembling this planet, one atom at a time. And, as before, everything began to perish rapidly. 65%, 85%, come on, 90%, 93%, so close, just a little more, 94%, 95%, 96%, yes, 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 95%, no, 90%, 85%, no, this can't be, 70%, what's happening, 60%, how is this possible, 30%, mass extinction averted. Then it struck us. We had been blinded by our fears and ambitions. In our fervent desire to save the galaxy from the horrors of this world, we had merely accelerated its evolution. With each failed attempt, we aided the surviving creatures in rapidly adapting and evolving, expediting what would have otherwise taken eons. We were doomed from the start. This world's accursed goddess had ensnared us in her trap, playing us for fools, hook, line, and sinker. At this juncture, many began to lose hope and abandon our noble cause. Some defected and fled the system, while others sought refuge from the despair-inducing reality by succumbing to madness. A few brave souls, bless them, aimed their ships at the planet, activated their engines, and with a final prayer, hurled themselves at this world of nightmares and hatred in one last act of defiance. These three plans, as well as what came to be known as the sacrifices of the foolish and foolhardy, unfolded over numerous generations. After many more, a brilliant scientist, my ancestor, decided enough was enough. Grand Vizier Atlano of the great Annalist theocracy, with the aid of the High Priest, managed to persuade the High Council to destroy the world of the Dark Goddess one final time. It was a brilliant plan, undoubtedly conceived with divine inspiration. He theorized that the only way to truly annihilate a world was by colliding it with another world. Of course, utilizing a piece of the great divine creation as a weapon is considered the highest blasphemy, so he chose something similar, something world-adjacent. For our last attempt at eradicating this scourge, our ancestors hurled the largest asteroid they could find, imbued with divine energy, at the domain of the Dark Goddess. And just like that, it was over. We had triumphed at last. Surely, there was no need to check if anything survived. That would be absurd. Instead of facts that can be disproven or inventions that can fail, we had and always will have something far more potent, faith. Faith in ourselves, faith in our gods, and faith that assures us that good will always triumph over evil. As we held on to our faith and observed the surface of this now desolate rock from the comfort of our home systems, we believed the universe was saved at last. Or so we thought, until one of the surveillance drones left behind by the GA Gracefulness began transmitting data back to its home system. Apparently, something or someone had initiated its first contact protocol. This had to be a cruel joke, it simply couldn't be true. As much as we didn't want to believe it, the truth was undeniable. Approximately 37 hours ago, surveillance drone GAG 1439515 detected the presence of a rudimentary spacecraft departing planet GA-14, thematically named after the Dark Goddess who supposedly molded and crafted the world. While our initial attempts at annihilating these monsters resulted in their adaptation to cataclysms, it seems our latest failure led to their adaptation not to our technology but to our minds. This cursed world had finally birthed creatures capable of rivaling our intelligence and ingenuity with cunning and deceit. Now, they had finally escaped their goddess's suffocating embrace, like the plague they are, ready to spread among the stars. Soon, they would reach us. May the gods have mercy on us all. Our realization was stark and harrowing. Every step we took to annihilate the abominations of GA-14 had only served to make them stronger, more resilient, and more cunning. This revelation sent shockwaves through the Great Galactic Alliance, our faith in our strategies crumbling. We had to face the grim reality that the very measures we employed in our desperation had inadvertently turned these monstrous creatures into formidable adversaries. The public's reaction to the re-emergence of GA-14's inhabitants was one of sheer terror and disbelief. People who had initially dismissed the threat as mere myth now found themselves grappling with the horrifying truth. Scholars, scientists, and religious leaders convened in frantic sessions, seeking a solution that would finally rid the universe of this insidious blight. Yet, the more we debated and planned, the more we realized that our previous efforts had only emboldened the horrors we sought to eliminate. With the resurgence of GA-14's monstrous inhabitants, a palpable fear gripped the galaxy. The High Council, in its desperation, sanctioned an unprecedented meeting with the highest-ranking officials from all allied worlds. This grand summit was a historic event, bringing together minds and resources from across the cosmos, in a unified effort to devise a definitive solution. The plan was clear: we needed to understand these creatures, their strengths and weaknesses, if we were to have any hope of combating them effectively. A team of the most elite scientists, engineers, and strategists was assembled, tasked with the perilous mission of returning to GA-14. This team, known as the Vanguard, was equipped with cutting-edge technology and weapons designed to withstand the planet's extreme conditions. Their mission was to gather data, capture specimens, and uncover the secrets of GA-14's indomitable life forms. As the vanguard descended upon GA-14, they were met with a world that was both familiar and alien. The landscapes, once ravaged by our attempts at destruction, had transformed into an even more hostile environment. The creatures that roamed this desolate world were unlike anything they had seen before, adaptive, intelligent, and terrifyingly efficient predators. The Vanguard's initial encounters were fraught with danger, their advanced weaponry barely holding off the relentless assaults of GA-14's inhabitants. Despite the overwhelming odds, the Vanguard persisted, driven by the knowledge that the fate of the galaxy rested upon their shoulders. They ventured deeper into the planet, uncovering evidence of a highly organized and intelligent society. These creatures, once thought to be mindless beasts, displayed a complex social structure and advanced, technological capabilities. It became evident that their evolution had been accelerated by our interference, propelling them to a level of sophistication that rivaled our own. The Vanguard's findings were transmitted back to the Great Galactic Alliance, sending shockwaves through the scientific and military communities. The creatures of GA-14 were not mere monsters, they were a burgeoning civilization, one that had risen from the ashes of our repeated attempts at annihilation. This revelation forced us to rethink our entire approach. No longer could we view GA-14 as a simple threat to be eradicated, it was now a potential adversary with the capability to challenge our dominance in the galaxy. Faced with this new paradigm, the Alliance shifted its strategy from one of destruction to containment. Massive orbital stations were constructed around GA-14, equipped with the latest in surveillance and defense technology. These stations were manned by the best and brightest, tasked with monitoring the planet and ensuring that none of its inhabitants could escape to spread their influence. This containment strategy was seen as the last, best hope to protect the galaxy from the horrors of GA-14. Yet, even with these precautions in place, an uneasy tension gripped the Alliance. The knowledge that such a formidable adversary existed just beyond our reach weighed heavily on the minds of all. Discussions turned to the possibility of coexistence, a radical idea that seemed almost heretical given the history of GA-14. Some argued that understanding and perhaps even integrating this new civilization could lead to unprecedented advancements and a new era of galactic peace. However, the path to such a future was fraught with peril. The creatures of GA-14, forged in the crucible of our own making, were unlikely to trust or cooperate with those who had sought their destruction for so long. Bridging this chasm would require patience, diplomacy, and a willingness to confront the darkest aspects of our own nature. As the Alliance stood on the precipice of this new reality, the story of GA-14 became a cautionary tale of hubris and unintended consequences. It reminded us that in our quest for control and security, we must be mindful of the forces we unleash and the legacy we leave behind. The fate of the galaxy now hinged on our ability to learn from our mistakes and forge a path forward that embraced the complexities of life, even those born from the most nightmarish circumstances. In the end, the tale of GA-14 serves as a testament to the resilience of life, and the indomitable will to survive. It challenges us to reconsider our definitions of monstrosity and civilization, urging us to find common ground even in the most unlikely places. As we move forward, the lessons of GA-14 will guide us, reminding us that in the vast expanse of the cosmos, we are all connected, our destinies intertwined in ways we can scarcely comprehend.